Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be comparing the Cadillac CT4-V Blackwing to the Audi RS3. Before we get in this video though, a huge shout out and thank you to the Jerry Signer Cadillac here in Salt Lake City, Utah for giving me some time with this Blackwing. This particular CT4 is still available for sale, so if you're interested, I'll include a link to their website in the description down below so you can reach out to them. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money, the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Under the hood of the CT4, we have a twin-turbo 3.6 liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 16 around town and then 24 on the highway, with power outputs being 472 horsepower and then 445 pound-feet of torque. Now, under the hood of the Audi, we have a turbocharged 2.5 liter 5-cylinder that goes through a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic. Fuel economy is 20 around town and then 29 on the highway, with power outputs being 401 horsepower and then 369 pound-feet of torque. Now, a couple very interesting details that I want to note with this comparison. First off, I noticed that the engine here in the Blackwing is pushed back really far. Like, you guys can see where the wheels are and then where the engine is, compared to the Audi where you guys can see where the wheels are with the engine. The engine's like further forward, like more over the front wheels. So I think that's interesting. And the next thing is the power to weight. So with the Audi, this weighs just over 3,700 pounds as equipped, whereas this Blackwing weighs just over 3,900 pounds as equipped. So even though the Blackwing has more power, it also weighs more, but like when you take into account power to weight ratio, they're actually relatively close, which is interesting. Now, before we go over the front ends, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Starting with the front end on the Cadillac, you guys can see it's got this kind of like aggressive, muscular, almost like boxy type appearance, but I wouldn't quite call it boxy because it's more muscle and sports car than anything else. And then you can see we've got like crazy carbon fiber ground effects with the canards, and so it's just in your face like muscle sedan. Whereas with the Audi, you guys can see everything's kind of more rounded off. It almost looks like a mini R8 from the front end. You got your subtle RS3 badge there on the front, but yeah, just completely different aesthetic. But let me know which front end look you like more. Now, coming around the side here with the Cadillac, our tire and wheel setup is 255/35/18 in the front and then 275/35/18 in the rear. And look at how cool these wheels are. I love the bronze coloration. Now, popping over to the Audi, our tire and wheel setup is 235/35/19 in the front and in the rear. Something that does need to be noted is this Audi has a set of winter tires thrown on it. The summer performance tires are slightly wider in the front compared to the back. I know that because I've already reviewed an RS3, but this is the winter setup, so not a perfect comparison. But anyways, here's the full side profile on the CT4. This is where you can see it's a slightly larger car. The wheelbase is a little bit bigger, and also the overall length is a little bit more as well. But look like the V badge right there, and just like all the muscular lines, I think it's a great looking sedan. And then in contrast, here's the Audi. Again, everything's a little bit softer with the lines and the bodywork, but it still has a very muscular appearance, especially for like a German sports sedan. So here are key fobs. You'll notice that the functionality is pretty similar, although the Cadillac does have a remote start function on the key fob, whereas the Audi does not. But the coolest thing is the backs of the key fobs. So you can see with the Audi, it says RS, and then with the Cadillac, you've got the V logo. Now, here's a quick look at the storage space of the Audi. And you know, for a small size sedan, it's pretty solid. And then taking a look at the CT4, it's actually somewhat similar. I will say though, this storage space is a little bit wider than what you have in the Audi. And then when it comes to rear design, you guys can see we've got this like low profile spoiler here on the Audi. Big fan of the taillights. And then of course we got our RS3 badge. My favorite part is actually the covers over the exhaust tips. I think they look really cool, and you guys will love the exhaust note a little bit later with this one. And then with the Cadillac, it's quite a bit more aggressive with the rear end, and I think a big part of that is because of the spoiler here on the back end. But look, we've got a Blackwing badge, and then aggressive exhaust tips, got a carbon fiber diffuser here at the bottom. But seeing them together, that's such a cool view. Let me know which one you like more. Now, popping into the back of the Audi, what you notice is we've got this like nice metallic trim here with some Alcantara, and then there's some like leather padding down below. And then the seats are actually really cool in the RS3, as you can see. But let's compare space. Oh, so here's legroom in the RS3, and then you guys can see here with the vents and everything. And then also, I'm pretty much touching the top. And then popping over to the Cadillac, with the door panel, it's like tons of leather. You can see it's like perforated there. And then same thing with the seats. You can see all leather there. And then we'll slip in here so we can kind of compare. Man, these front bucket seats do take up quite a bit of space. There's the legroom. I feel like they're both just as impractical as each other in terms of space in the back. And then popping to the front of the Audi, I pretty much want to go over some highlights. So the door panel in front is pretty much the same as the rear. And then these seats are really cool. The front of the Audi. And then popping in, nice solid sound. Ooh. So one thing I really like in the Audi is the steering wheel. It's got this like golf ball texture. Really nice paddle shifters there on the back. And then just like other Audis, this has the virtual cockpit, so you can completely change the view, which is fun. We also have a bunch of different drive modes that we can go between. You can see that kind of changing right there. But the cool party trick that I'll show you in a minute after the infotainment screen loads up. First off, camera, it's pretty good. But now that it's loaded up here, I can show you. So if we go into the vehicle tab and we go to the drive mode select, you can see we've got these regular drive modes, but then we have the RS Performance and RS Individual. And let's press the RS Performance. And you guys can see here, it gets a little bit more aggressive with everything. And it's giving me all these warnings and all that. So yeah, that's kind of another cool factor. And then boom, fully changes the gauge cluster as well. It does take a second to load up though. Some other notable stuff, interesting with the shifter here at the bottom. And then there's some pretty nice trim throughout. And then you guys can see here with the padding on the dash. I feel like overall fit and finish in here is pretty solid. And then we do have a regular sunroof here at the top. And then popping over to the Cadillac, same thing with the door panel, is pretty much the same as the rear. You got stuff like memory seat function on there on the door panel. But the coolest part is these front seats, like look at that. It's like this crazy aggressive bucket appearance. And then let's see. Yeah, nice solid sound, just like the Audi. Ooh. So this steering wheel, completely covered in Alcantara, it kind of makes it feel a little bit more race car-like, and don't know why the radio's on. You have a marker here at the top too that's in red. Really nice paddles here on the back, and notice we've got this cool adjustment here on the steering wheel for the traction, and then you got your V mode right here as well, which is pretty cool. And then you guys can see here with the full digital gauge cluster. I think this is pretty fun. Got a bunch of different drive modes that we can go through, just like the Audi. This one actually has more drive modes though, something to note. And then got a backup camera, just like the Audi. And then there's like Alcantara on the front of the shifter, which I think is pretty cool. You got like carbon fiber trim. And just like the Audi, really nice like fit and finish inside here. And I feel like overall pretty solid material use. And then we do have just like a regular little sunroof here at the top. Now when it comes to pricing, the Audi stickers for about $65,000, whereas this Blackwing stickers for about $83,000. Now something to note about the Blackwing is it has like $13,000 plus in carbon fiber and like blackout trim option. And so if you take away that $13,000 in carbon fiber and all that, you would lose cool stuff like the canards. It would be a lot closer in price to the RS3.